All right, we're here on our first installment of Ear to the Streets. It's my pleasure to introduce a mentor and actual father figure of mine when I was growing up, entrepreneur. We have here coach of the Detroit Harper and Connor Titans. We have Coach Ray Lyons here. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great.
All right, so let's get into it. Coach, where are you from?
Okay, I was born and raised on the east side of Detroit. I grew up in the southeastern area, right off of Mack and Fairview area, in that area.
Okay, so east side. You say you grew up on Mack and Fairview?
Well. So actually, I grew up on Mack and Hillgrid, but my street is gone now because of the Chrysler expansion. Took our street away back in the '80s.
Okay, yeah. So tell me about Detroit in the '80s. Tell me about were you in high school during that time?
Yeah. I was in high school. I went to all the schools in my neighborhood. I went to Foch, Southeastern. I played football at Southeastern. Everything in our neighborhood was basically sports. Either you played sports or you ran, you swim, you played basketball in the neighborhood. Everybody played baseball. Everything was fun. Everything was kind of laid back. It wasn't too bad. During that time, the crack era started coming around. As I probably got into like the 10th, 11th grade, people start selling crack and families start using crack, and you start seeing guys drop out of school because they chose to go to the streets. But up until that point, everything was Detroit. Detroit was the neighborhood. And anybody growing up on the east side or the west side in Detroit, they felt like they was in heaven. There might have been all type of stuff going around. We might have been the murder capital, but it didn't seem like that to you as you was a kid, and that was your neighborhood.
Right. And you were an athlete. So when did you actually start playing football?
I started playing football at 8 years old. I played for the East Side Raiders. And my two uncle took us to the football field. We didn't have a clue. I thought I was going to hang out too with my uncle. It was going to be me, him, and my cousins. So I thought we just going to hang out. But come to find out, he had a plan for us. So my uncle took us down to the football field, man. We started playing, and from there, we played all the way through. I played for the Raiders from the time I was 8 till I was 12. Then I played for the Cannon Tars 1 year at 13, and then in the 9th grade I went right to high school.
And this was PAL?
Yeah, this was PAL. It was PAL then. That was back when PAL was 6 teams. Our first year, but we only played 6 games, and it was different, but it was fun. It was a big thing back then. Anybody that played football in the neighborhood, and they looked at you like you really was playing some real pro football or some college football, because it wasn't that many teams. And back then, a lot of kids wasn't able to play because it wasn't really accessible. It was only 2 or 3 teams on the east side back then. So either you played for the Raiders, Colts, or Cowboys. Otherwise, on the east side, you didn't really play Little League football back then.
Right. So so you said there were only 6 league teams?
Yeah. It was only 6 teams in PAL.
Okay.
Yeah,
and what were the other? You mentioned you played for the Raiders, the Cowboys.
Yeah, the Cowboys was at Persian, the Colts was at Butzel, and the other teams were the West Side teams, the West Side Cubs. I believe it was a team at Northwestern called the Vikings, and I want to say maybe the Steelers, and that was, I think, our schedule the first year. Then the Broncos came maybe our second year, and so on. That was like 1977. That was a long time ago. So
yeah. So you actually playing PAL football. Did you immediately fall in love with the sport?
Oh yeah. My motto, the first couple of years I sat on the bench, and I was learning how to play, but I was getting the business every day in practice. But as I learned how to play, as I got 9, I started understanding how to play better, and I played more. At 10, I thought I was something then. So at 10, I had figured out how to play. But back then, by it only being so many teams on the east side, it was only a couple of teams. You had to be good to play. You couldn't be just show up, man. You ain't never played before. You had to earn your stripes.
Right.
So by the time I got late 9, 10, and 10, I was ready to play football by then.
Right. And what position did you play?
I played middle linebacker, and I always played on the offensive line too. I played guard.
Okay. So let's transition from Little League into high school. Now we're in the 80s, and as you said earlier, that in that neighborhood in the 80s, Detroit was just Detroit. It was still like it was a fun time. guys, you guys were playing football. You were either an athlete or
you was in the streets.
You was in the streets.
Yeah.
So just tell me about when you got to high school. I'm sure you probably had friends that were in the streets, or classmates or whatever. Just tell me about the balance that you found with being a student athlete and just being a student that went to school in Detroit.
And I think the biggest difference, and from then and to now, is even at like 14, 15, playing football to high school, the older guys encouraged you, and they might have been selling drugs or doing whatever. They might have dropped out of school, but they wasn't never trying to really pull you into doing anything to do that they were doing. It was kind of cool too that everybody in my little neighborhood that might have been in the street, might have had their foot in the street here and there, they would still show up on Fridays, man. They come to the games, come out, support you, and it just made you feel a certain way. It was never no pressure to, all right, man, let me stop doing this, man. I'm finna go over there with them. Well, hell, I can get $5-6 from them. I can get me something to eat, and I was happy. I didn't feel the urge at that time to actually go out and stop going to school because nobody was really pulling you toward that. It was a lot of guys who I played football with, especially in the 9th grade. Man, we had a real good JV team, and I always look back and think it was only 4 of us that wound up playing varsity. That was just how strong that pull to the street was for a whole lot of kids back then. That's back when guys was 15, 16, selling on corners, selling dope, running up the cars and doing all that. That was back when a whole lot of stuff was going on and everything was new. And crack was destroying families, man. It was destroying families, but man, if you was doing something positive, it really wasn't in your way. You was out of the loop. Right.
So just paint a picture on more of a vivid picture on your high school athletic career at the time, because for those who don't know, we're actually sitting here with one of Michigan's I would say one of Michigan high school superstars when we're talking about football here. So just give people some insight on your high school background when it comes to football.
And what I played varsity all the 4 years, and I made all city I made all city. I think in the 10th grade I made all city second team. In 11th grade I made second team and first team. My senior year the same thing. I was pretty good. I had a lot of tackles. One year I had like 150 something tackles. I think when I was in the 10th grade or the 11th grade, one of those years I had a bunch of tackles.
So you telling me right now your sophomore year you had 150 tackles?
Yeah, I had a lot of tackles. Yeah.
Wow.
I had a lot of tackles.
Wow. And how many games?
I think we played 9 games because our teams, man, they wasn't that good. I mean, we didn't make the playoffs. Wow. You had to be really good to make the playoffs.
Right. So after high school, did you go on to play any college football?
Nope. After high school, into high school, I was the first year of what they called it Proposition 48, when you had to qualify academically to go to college. So when it came time for me to go to school, man, I would only qualify for a junior college. So I was supposed to go down to the Northern Iowa University, and I wind up not going. And my mom got sick, and I wind up not even going off to school until to play ball, and that stained me for a couple of years and drugged me on a little bit, but I finally shook out of it. And that was one of the biggest things that got me into helping out kids, because I think maybe if I'd have had somebody doing some extra, pushing me and encouraging me and maybe giving me a little, come on, man, come on, boy, you finna do this, I might would have had a chance to take advantage of that opportunity.
Right. So, so let's talk about like even you, like missing that opportunity. What are some things that like instantly went through your head at that time? Like you're literally going from being a high school superstar. I'm sorry, a high school superstar, and having that thought process, you would think that I'm going to go to college and I'm going to go to the NFL. Like maybe these are some of the thoughts that you're having as an adolescent. So how did you deal with having that thought process versus your reality?
I was I was really down. I was disappointed because I felt like, man, I should have been going to school. I was actually going to the service, and that was my way out. I was running from myself. I'm like, man, I could just go into service, and I'll make this work out or whatever. I go into service, and I try that out and see how the way it go. But I wind up changing my motto of mine. And some of my friends, and that was in the street, they moved out of town and they moved down to Ohio. So I wind up in Ohio. Maybe like when I was, maybe like after I got out of high school, maybe like that next winter, I wind up in Ohio, and I wind up down there for 5 years. And I wind up down there in the street. I hustled a little bit, and I stayed down there for about 5 years, and we all wind up in trouble, and we got in trouble, and we all wind up going to jail. And which wind up, now looking back on it, was probably a blessing. By me going to jail, man, I got a better college education than what I probably would have got going to $100,000 school for 4 years and paying. I was able to find myself, and I grew. Meaning, man, kids in college I would take classes while out of 2 hours into college. I took a real estate class from the governor of Arkansas. He was in there for the Whitewater scandal, and he was our real estate teacher. He taught us real estate. I took a banking class from a dude that had stole $60 million from a bank, and he had 18 months, and I thought that was some of the greatest stuff in the world. So I took a finance class and learned how the way money worked from him. I took a stock class from different guys. They had some continuing education classes, and I will always take those classes. And that really helped me out. That helped me mature, and it really benefited me. Even though I got in trouble, I didn't stop. I didn't give up. It was the easy thing I could have did was went in there, laid down, lift weights every day, came back out of jail selling dope, got back in trouble, but I didn't.
Right. So yeah, let's speak about redemption, because honestly, knowing you today, it doesn't sound like you really. You wouldn't think that you went through any of those things, knowing you today. So, what was like something that you thought about either like during that time you were in Ohio, or maybe like after? What was some of the thoughts that came to your head, or how you were going to redeem yourself as a person?
And what my thing with is now the same thing. Every kid I coach, I can see myself. Every kid I try to help, I can see myself. And a whole lot of things kids are going through, grown-ups don't talk to them. And for some reason, I've always been able to talk to a kid. I can meet a kid in 2 or 3 minutes and have a full conversation with him, and he'll open up and talk to me, and I can talk to him. And I always say, and I really believe this, kids have the best bullshitting radars in the world. If a kid thinks somebody full of shit, they gonna go the other way and get away from them. But if a kid trusts you, he'll sit and talk to you and tell you everything that's going on with him. So my thing was I wanted to get involved with doing stuff, man, with the kids, and not so much about money. I wasn't looking to make no money. Anything I done did with kids, I didn't always tried to make it so they wouldn't have to really even have no money, because a lot of kids that don't get a chance to participate in programs is fucking due to money. And a lot of times I've been able to go out and get people, man, to give money. Hey, man, I got a couple of kids, man, I need y'all to help me out. Hey, I got a couple of kids, I need y'all to do this. And people, man, would normally help kids, and especially if they know that you really work with kids and a person is sincere with working with kids. So I always look at kids. I see myself. And I think that's one of the big things with the kids that's coming out of our neighborhood, that's making it, that's going to school, is we can see ourselves.